From the sidelines to your ears, it's the BenchWarmers Podcast, where sports meets humor. I am your host, Zack, and I am joined by my co-host, Jordan. How you doing?
Good. How are things over on your end?
Oh, not bad. I was up at 2:30 this morning. Dog needed a drink, and I checked out the blood moon, so I am kind of tired after working all day. So we'll try to make it through this cast without me falling asleep. Yeah, I'm sure you'll keep me pretty entertained.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely, man. We got a jam-packed show, actually, today, huh?
Oh, yeah, we do. We're going to talk about the WWE. We're going to talk about a little bit about Raw. We're going to talk about SmackDown because that happened earlier in the day.
Yeah.
And it's only going to air in the United States at 8 o'clock. So we kind of scraped and scrounged, and we found some spoilers that we can talk about. So spoiler alert.
Yep.
If you haven't watched it yet, or whatever, if you're not going to catch it on Friday and you're going to watch it Saturday, or you're going to listen to this and then watch it, just spoiler alert. And then we're going to get right into the NFL because there's a lot of free agency action happening. There's a lot of trades. We're going to talk about a lot of teams coming up. So I think we should get right into it. So Jordan, tell us about, let's start with Raw. I know you said before the cast that Raw wasn't very exciting, maybe one segment. Why don't we get into that?
Yeah, so Raw itself was a shit show all across the board except for the main event. Just so you guys know, like Zack had said, with SmackDown being taped overseas earlier, Raw next week will start at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, still on Netflix. Overall, the show really just wasn't that good. And honestly, for it being in MSG, Madison Square Garden in New York City, you could say, Zack, that is MSG is the home of WWE. Almost every WrestleMania was there up until, I would say about 10, 15 years ago. I expected this show to be a banger, and if it wasn't for Seth Rollins, CM Punk in that steel cage match, and Roman Reigns making his appearance towards the end of the show, I don't think that this show would have been anywhere close to even good. The word good. It wouldn't even be close to that. I have a few questions, though. One, what are we going to do with Penta, at WrestleMania? And what about Rey Fenix? Because from what I read on the SmackDown episode tonight, we got a vignette of what everybody knows is Rey Fenix. It's shown a luchador with tassels and everything else in the vignette tonight, and that is going to be Rey Fenix. The reason why I asked to start this off with that question is because, one, it's fresh, and two, Penta seems to be the target now. The hot commodity in WWE at the moment, the new toy, if you will. His brother Rey Fenix is joining WWE. Zack, this is something that we actually, imagined would happen. AEW was holding out on him and everything else. So could we see Penta versus Rey Fenix at WrestleMania 41? Even though they are two different shows, and we'll get into that later. But do you think that could happen?
I don't know. I don't think, unless he gets brought into the storyline between like Penta and Pete Dunne and why am I drawing a blank?
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Maybe it's just because I'm tired. Ludwig, yes. I think they'd have to try to bring him into that kind of storyline.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't and I don't even know how they would do that if they're gonna put Ray on SmackDown. Maybe they're not gonna put them together or have them do anything like right away. Maybe they're gonna try to let them build their names up, and then I would assume, like we assumed, like we talked about, that the draft is gonna happen. So maybe I don't think WrestleMania, but maybe the draft they end up on the same team or on the same show, and then they go for whatever tag team title comes up. I don't think they put them in a feud.
No, no. I I don't I don't see them tagging anytime soon. Um, I do I do get your point. Um, because it is kind of like it is kind of weird at this time, especially because I mean it all depends. If the modern WWE fan is looking at this, then they're probably thinking, yeah, no, we don't even know who Ray Phoenix is yet, you know.
Right.
But
I can tell you, I don't really know who he is. I barely knew who Penta was because I don't watch
oh
AEW.
no,
I,
dude, this was
you know,
before like everybody over here was pretty much introduced to the Lucha Brothers through AEW. Um, but they go far beyond that. Lucha Underground is where I've seen the both of them. They were very, very great talent, I would say, down there in that industry. With everything that's going on in AEW and everything else like this, Ray Phoenix needed to get out. Um, I think that they were pretty much holding him hostage there, weren't putting him on TV and everything else like this. I think that this is the right move for Ray to come to WWE. I just thought it would have been with Penta on Raw because of the whole Chad Gable angle. Um, with
yeah,
Chad,
you would think,
yeah,
and especially because I mean, people that watch AEW and that watch WWE, they know like Ray and Penta were tag team champions over in AEW,
yep,
and they know they have history. So I think that might have been everybody's kind of inkling, but apparently WWE has different plans.
I just hope that they
Uh,
do him right.
I think they will. I mean, they've been doing Penta okay. I think they should put Penta in more high profile matches. I think once this feud with Pete Dunne and Ludwig are done, I think that they should put him in more of a main event status. Let
Yeah,
him go for the IC title. Let him go, like, because I would assume he's going to stay on Raw. So let him go for the IC title. And if after the draft, if they're both on SmackDown, then I would assume they're going to let them tag team and go for the tag team titles, or vice versa. Um, I think they do the same thing that they're doing with Penta with Ray. They're going to put him in kind of a lower tier feud. Probably do some sort of the same angle. Beat up some of the guys, and then those guys kind of team up, and I think it's going to be a similar feud.
yeah, yeah. No, no, I agree definitely. But back to Raw, and we got a segment between Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley, and that was all right. I mean, that it kind of confused me because the Friday before that Monday Night Raw, we had seen Bianca Belair and Naomi, and we had talked about that in episode 4. Um, the reason why I say it confused me is because in the promo, it was a back and forth of Rhea telling Bianca, you shouldn't be worried about me. You should be worried about what you got going on uh, over there in SmackDown. And, you know, Bianca was pretty much telling Rhea the same thing. Like, you shouldn't be mad at me. You should be mad at Io. And then Io comes out, and this angle looks like it's going to be a triple threat match for the world title between Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky. Um, and I believe that Rhea would go home with the belt on that. And the reason why I say that is because the story behind Rhea Ripley and Io Sky is the fact that Io Sky remains undefeated against Rhea Ripley. So that big
Right.
moment and that big pop would be really good for the Eradicators
I,
persona at WrestleMania.
I think they would be doing Bianca Belair kind of dirty though. She earned that spot. It shouldn't be a triple threat match. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do it. And if they do a triple threat match, I'm sure it's gonna be a banger because all three of them are very talented women. They
Oh,
know how to wrestle.
absolutely. And
They know how to wrestle. And we talked about this, was it last week or episode 4 or 3, I can't remember, but I still think the Rhea Ripley Eradicator, it's getting stale.
the mommy
I
thing.
don't want her. Yeah, I don't want her. I don't want her to have the belt. I want her to come back rebranded
Yeah, I think
and
that
then go for the belt.
I think that what they're doing now is they're cashing in. You know, in episode 4, I told you that I was in Buffalo for that Monday Night Raw, and the place was filled with all sorts of cosplay Rhea Ripley lookalikes. So that's a hot commodity now, just like the Jey Uso thing. Bianca Belair, I like this for her. I agree with you that it would rob her of the belt. Not just the belt, but the opportunity to have that WrestleMania moment, even though she's already had one. I'm more than one, I believe. It just doesn't feel right. I think that if they do go this way, Rhea will get the belt because this is how WWE is.
Yeah, definitely she will. I mean, I don't see them letting Rhea lose a triple threat match.
No, if it was up to me, I would say that I'd book the match to have Io get her WrestleMania moment, considering like I said, Bianca already had hers and Rhea has had hers as well. We need an Io Sky run, and you know,
Yeah, a meaningful Ego Sky run. I mean,
yeah,
her last run wasn't the best, I don't think.
no,
With that was with the
WWE belt.
WWE title.
Yep.
Yeah, where she beat Bailey.
Yeah, yeah, and that was a
And
really good pop. That was a really good moment for Io. But I agree with you. I think that she should have a meaningful title run, more than just a lead up to WrestleMania, and that's it. It should go
right.
on to at least SummerSlam. I would book it until SummerSlam, and then whatever they decide to do with Rhea afterwards, have her come back, and then maybe we can discuss Rhea taking the belt off of Io then. Um, Speaking of belts, my next question is this: do these fucking titles not matter anymore? Because Finn Balor, uh, he's being looked at as a goofy. He's being booked as a fucking goofy. It's this guy is the first ever WWE Universal Champion holder.
For one day.
Yeah, inaugural though, but it was
Yeah.
due to an injury. But he's the inaugural WWE Universal title holder, um, and a former NXT title holder, along with the tag and all those other straps. It feels like they're fucking with him a little bit. I want to see more of Finn going into the main event where he belongs, as Finn is a phenomenal talent, and let him ride out the rest of his career on top where he belongs. I don't know, man. I just
My
all these
take on
former champions, dude, are being looked at as. I mean, look, if you look at the Miz, he's no matter what anybody says about his character, the work that Mike Mizanin has put in to his craft and the legacy that he has from main event in WrestleMania, being concussed and still going on with the match. I know we mentioned JD McDonough the other day, the other week too, and I throw that right into there too. These past champions, they're not being looked at as the same anymore, and I'm not fucking with it. If they were IC belt mid Carter tag team guys, that's one thing. But these are the guys that have carried your brand. You don't want to fucking shit on them.
I don't think they're shitting on him. So the titles do matter. And Triple H came out publicly and said that there's new talent. He's pushing new talent. And it's not that he's throwing these older guys to the
Pushing
the
what new
wayside.
talent though? Liv Morgan,
Well, Liv Morgan, she's been around for a while. I wouldn't call her new talent.
Bianca,
But like
Rhea?
Bianca, she
Bailey?
got her push. They all got their push when
No.
when they
I'm
were
saying
there.
what new talent though? What new talent has Triple H pushed?
Tiffany Stratton for sure.
Okay, there's one.
She got a
LA
big push. Damian Priest
who's been
got a
around
push.
for,
He
I would
wasn't
say,
around that long, and
yeah,
he wasn't
yeah, he has.
wasn't relevant. He wasn't relevant
He was in NXT.
in NXT, but that doesn't always, reciprocate in the main card, in the
Right.
main
Well,
roster.
when you're saying new talent, though, you're looking at, you said it right the first time. People like Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne Perez, those
Yep.
type of
Even
guys.
Ronda Rousey got a push when she was new, and that was
It's
still
Ronda
under Vince.
Rousey. Ronda,
And that was still under Vince.
yeah, one of the biggest box office attractions in combat
Yeah.
sport. You're
Well,
telling me you're not
obviously
put
they're
her
going to
in?
give. Yeah, obviously they're going to give her a strap, but like, I think the whole Finn Balor situation. I don't think his character is meant to have a main title.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Don't put the strap on him. I want him
No.
to have these meaningful backstage segment, meaningful matches, instead of just parading around with Dominic Mysterio and having fucking back and forth banters, comedy banters with Carlito, who is a fill-in in a Judgment Day. There talks about him leaving the company and as a whole, and there's no room for him, so they just threw him in there.
It's the Judgment Day altogether. They need to disband the Judgment Day. That's done and over with. Rhea's not there. Damian Priest ain't there. Like, it's not the same as it was. So they've turned the whole Judgment Day into a comedy act, and they're not going to do that. They're not going to give Finn meaningful matches until they get rid of that. And I would assume that's going to come soon. And then Damian will rebrand as the Demon again, because they should have never took the Demon away from him.
I don't think it was taken away from him, because if you look in the background in each and every single segment in the Judgment Day locker room, you see that little box with the Demon King on it for Finn Balor. No matter where he is in that locker room, you see that box that's there, and that is, a throwback to the Demon King, just to let everybody know. Yeah, I still have that in there with me. He's just up on the shelf right now.
Right.
So they're fitting that character.
They don't let him use it. They don't let him use it.
They don't. And that's my point, is you got your inaugural Universal Champion, and no matter what the situation is, pull him out. How many times have we been teased with a split between the Judgment Day, with Finn Balor in the main picture here? Damian Priest, when I'm not talking about the SummerSlam thing. I'm talking about before that. That lead up to SummerSlam. There was a tease there. Finn comes in, cost Damian the world title at SummerSlam. And then all of a sudden Finn takes over, and it looks as if Finn's going to be the rightful leader. And then all of a sudden now it's Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, the Judgment Day ran its course.
Yeah.
It needs to be done, and then I think Finn goes back onto the right track. But to your point, unlike some of these veteran wrestlers, the only veteran wrestler that's really getting a push right now is John Cena. It's because his retirement tour and possibly breaking the title record and all this other stuff. But these veterans, they're there mainly
they're bridge players, is what they are.
They kind of, but they're mentoring. They're mentoring.
Yeah, that's what a bridge player is. It's somebody to show them the ropes and to take them to the next level. I think Triple H is The Rock. I don't think it should. The Rock is fitting himself into every single thing.
Well, that's because he owns TK, or he is part owner of TKO, and he can do whatever he wants.
Right,
and Triple H ain't gonna tell them no.
Right, but in the same sense, this is Zack. This is the same guy that's going on national television saying, "Oh yeah, the fans do matter, and we made this switch, and we made this switch, and that switch, and that switch." No, the fuck you didn't. You knew that nobody was gonna pay attention to any of the product had you went through with Roman Reigns versus The Rock at WrestleMania 40. He don't give a fuck about what the fans think.
No, he don't. He cares about money, and that's all it is.
And
but
that's sad. That's sad.
I truly believe that Triple H has the fans in mind, and I think he has the wrestlers in mind. And I don't think Triple H, like, I'm going to support Triple H whatever he does because I've watched Triple H since I was a young kid, and I've always been a fan of Triple H. And what he's doing now with these younger talent is unprecedented, and getting the talent there.
It's a
And
refresher.
yes, and I'm not that upset. I mean, to not see some of these older wrestlers get title shots because they've had their time. They were young once. They had their time in the spotlight. It's time to move on. It's time to bridge, like you said. Yeah, they're going to have their matches. They're going to have whatever, but they're not going to be meaningful. And unless like, and well, I'll take you back to the Elimination Chamber. There wasn't really anybody new in there besides Logan Paul. You know, they were all older wrestlers. They're all veterans. And I mean, Seth Rollins is kind of newer. He's been around for a while.
Seth
but
Rollins has been around since 2012, brother.
that's what I'm saying. He's been around for a while. But I feel like him, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul, and Damian Priest, like,
Those are all older guys, though, bro.
they are. They are. And I just think Triple H is trying to wean them out. That's all. I just feel like he's doing the right thing because we've seen it time and time again. We've seen it when Vince was around, when the old Raw was around, you know, the Attitude Era and then the PG era. You see these guys come and go. You see newer stars get pushes. They didn't get as many pushes when Vince was around, but they're getting it now. And I like that. I like the freshness. I like the new stuff because, like, I'll go back to, I think this was towards the end of the Attitude Era, or not the Attitude Era, but towards the end of the Ruthless Aggression Era, maybe right in the middle. It was it was always the same three guys: Edge, Randy Orton, John Cena. Right? They
that's all
were
they had,
constantly fighting for that WWE Championship, and it was like
but
I
that's all
felt like
they
it was
had.
every. What's that?
That's all they had on the roster. The
Right.
three main
But
stars.
they could have gave, but Vince didn't give newer guys that push. You know what I mean? So it got stale. You saw John Cena win it, and then maybe 2 or 3 months later he'd drop it to Randy Orton. Then Randy Orton would have it for a couple months, and he'd drop it to Edge, or vice versa. Or John Cena would win it back, or Edge would win it back. You know, it just got old. And I don't think Triple H wants things to get old and stale. That's why you're not seeing a lot of these veterans guys get meaningful pushes. And not saying that they shouldn't get meaningful matches. I believe Finn should have meaningful matches. But I believe this is what Triple H is doing, and this is his plan, is just to keep it fresh, keep it new. You know?
Right, but how are you going to have how are you going to have all of this without, like, because if you throw these guys, these newer guys like Roxanne Perez and everything else out onto the main roster right now without any veterans to let them know, hey, this is who she is, this is who he is, this guy or this gal can really fucking go. How are you supposed to do that without giving a veteran the tools, the creative power, and giving them saying, hey, dude, you have 30 minutes to go tear the house down and make this new guy or make this new gal look like $1 million fucking dollars? How are you supposed to do that if you're shitting on them?
Yeah, I don't understand what the point is. Like, why?
No, because I agree with you with Triple H. Dude, I can't stress that enough. Triple H is doing a great job, and it irritates me when these AEW fans come for his neck every single time he has like a bad PLE, and that's what it happens. The debate between AEW Dynamite and Monday Night Raw is dead in my eyes. It's dead.
Yeah,
I've been to
definitely
both
is.
shows. The main difference in the WWE and AEW thing is WWE ain't fucking tarping seats because they can't sell them, or you know, having these fill-in guys come in and fill these seats, or dropping down your prices last minute because you can't bring these guys in. I'm with
Right.
Triple H on this, but what I'm not with is this stuff. Finn, I mean, I don't want every single like older veteran to get this kind of. I mean, AJ Styles. AJ's been on record saying that he can't do some of the high flying stuff and he can't go like that anymore. That's fine, but Finn Balor can. Finn Balor
Oh
definitely
yeah.
can. So why not
Yeah,
give
no,
him the
I
time?
I agree. I agree. Finn should get work in. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the whole point was once the Judgment Day gets disbanded, once it's gone and gone forever, because the only way I think it comes back is if Edge comes back, and who knows with all that.
Yeah, for
But
real.
um, once it gets disbanded, I think Finn gets thrown back in the main card.
Yeah,
I believe because he's young enough. He's still what? He's probably in his 30s,
yeah. I
maybe
think he's in his late 30s,
yeah, late 30s,
early
early
40s.
40s. I'm not really sure how old he is, but he can still go. He can still do it.
Yeah,
So I'm not against giving him like a title opportunity. I'm not against giving him meaningful matches.
right.
I just think it all stems from the Judgment Day, and they need to throw this stale cracker away.
While we're
That's
on
what it is.
right, while we're on this topic, and I know that we're gonna get into the NFL here in a little bit. Jay Uso, right? Why the fuck are we putting him with the Alpha Academy? Does he not have any other fucking friends in the entire building? What about his brother, Big Jim? They're not doing anything with him on SmackDown. What? Why are we?
Well,
Why are we again with this whole fucking like Tozawa? Tozawa's gonna come help fucking. Tozawa's gonna help Jey Uso beat Gunther at WrestleMania. Yeah. Ooh, that's stanky, Zach. That's stanky.
I love the Tozawa dance.
Me too. Me too.
Tozawa cracks me up. He cracks me up about as much as R-Truth does.
Yeah, Tozawa's entertaining. He fits his role as that entertaining comedic wrestler.
Yep.
But if we're gonna give Jey Uso the big push, and we're all supposed to be convinced that he's gonna beat Gunther at WrestleMania, and he has all these tools to beat Gunther at WrestleMania, why the fuck are we pairing him with losers? And I'm not calling them losers as in like the human beings, the characters. The characters of the Alpha Academy are booked as losers. Why are we putting our Royal Rumble winner and the guy that literally everybody is behind and they want him to win this belt? Why are we putting him with guys like these? It makes no sense.
Because here's what I think. It just kind of clicked. The Alpha Academy is looked as underdogs. Like you said, they're losers. They're booked as losers. They're more than likely going to lose their matches. They're booked as underdogs, right?
Yeah.
Jey Uso is booked as an underdog.
He's also a 10-time tag team champion, though.
Correct. But tag teams doesn't always convert to singles competition. You know this.
No, I don't, because they're damn well saying it on commentary.
Well, commentary can say what they want, and
What do you
everybody
mean
has their own
commentary can
opinion.
say what they want, dude? These are the guys who are letting you know who these are, and they're building up the match itself. They're telling the story too.
Yeah, they are, and that's my thought on it.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They're putting him with underdogs.
Yeah, no,
And
I
if,
understand.
And if you put Jey Uso with the Alpha Academy, they're gonna win, right? It's gonna make the underdog look good.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's where I'm at with it. They're just playing this underdog line, into the match with Gunther.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with it, and that's why they're pairing him with the Alpha Academy. And while we're on the Alpha Academy, okay, I just want to bring this up real quick. I enjoy the Alpha Academy. I have been a fan of them, even when Chad Gable was there. I really like Otis. Like, Otis has got to be one of my top 5 wrestlers because of he's a big dude, and he can fucking work in that ring, and
He definitely
can move, and he can move. I love the Alpha Academy. I love the way they're doing it. They have that comedy vibe. They're kind of like New Day-ish, but losing. And I don't know, they make it look good, and they get a lot of pop. You wouldn't be like you wouldn't think that they're that popular, but they are.
Yeah.
And I would honestly like Tozawa and Otis to win the tag championships just once. They don't even have to keep it long. I just want them to have it.
Just like me with R-Truth winning the main championship.
Right. Right. And we know that's not going to happen. And honestly, when R-Truth was younger, well, he got kind of snubbed. He was really good in TNA, and then he went to, you know, fucking WWE, and they kind of snubbed him out, except for that rivalry he had with John Cena and the whole little Jimmy line and stuff like that. But I just love the work that they're doing. I love the work that R-Truth is doing. Tozawa's awesome, and and Tozawa can scrap too. I mean, when they had the cruiserweight division, Tozawa was no slouch in the cruiserweight division. He was good.
No, but Gunther showed us that that Tozawa's just not on the same level.
What's Brock Lesnar saying? A suplex city? Gunther took him to fucking Powerbomb City.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, dude, I would love to see a Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. I'm not. I would love to.
They would never let Brock Lesnar lose.
Oh no.
Never. No, because of the way they show Brock Lesnar manhandling everybody. Gunther would get tossed around like a rag doll because Gunther's big, but he's not bulky, so it would be easy for. Yeah, honestly, his arms ain't that big either.
No, not at all. He's small.
He's lanky.
Have you
lanky.
seen old pictures of him?
Yeah, he was fat as shit.
Yeah, dude. I wish he would have kept a little bit of that weight. Well, he was.
What was his name?
Walter.
Walter. He was Walter, and then they rebranded him as Gunther and did the whole Imperium thing.
Yeah, well, he had Imperium in NXT UK, and he had a little bit of weight. Gunther just recently lost quite a bit of weight because in NXT UK he wasn't as big as he was in the pictures that we're talking about, but in NXT UK he had a lot of weight on him, and I wish that I mean congratulations to him for making that journey and taking that journey and losing that weight, but Walter from NXT UK was a massive motherfucker, and I would have loved to see him versus Brock Lesnar. That's one of the dream matches I have. Back to Raw though. Is this whole Netflix thing too much pressure, you think, for Triple H?
No.
No, you don't think
so?
No,
Triple H has been part of like big company since basically being in the WWE. I mean, when him and Steph were dating and they got married, he's been in the business a long time and he's learned from Vince, and people can say what they want about Vince and whatever, but he learned from the best of the best. And in big moments and everything else, I think Triple H has this. I think a lot of it, he's probably answering to TKO a lot, and that might be a lot of the pressure. I don't think it's Netflix. I think it's TKO.
I think that that Netflix is bringing a little bit of pressure to him. It's a new platform. It's not just a continental platform like the USA and Fox and that stuff. It's worldwide now, so he has to, make all these adjustments and get everybody, I'm talking about fans, getting all these fans, excited about their favorite superstars. And obviously not everybody's going to be happy. That is a lot of pressure. I think that is quite a bit of pressure, and it with this Raw, at least, and the Raw before, it definitely is showing. I do think that Triple H turns it around, though. We're on the road to WrestleMania, so these next few months are going to be jam-packed with stuff, with closing stories and everything else. So why don't we move on to the main event? Speaking of closing stories, this cage match, Zach, did you see any of it?
I saw a little bit of it. I heard it was a banger, though.
It was. Oh my God, it was. And like I said earlier, if it wasn't for this match, Raw and MSG would have been a bust. Dude, it tore the house down. I liked it. I liked the storytelling in it, especially at the end. So at the end of the match, Seth Rollins and CM Punk they trade each other's moves. Punk hit Seth with the stomp first, and then Seth comes back, hits Punk with the GTS. They go for pins. Each of them kick out at late 2 counts, and then finally Seth gets the bright idea of, hey, I can just walk out the cage door, signals the referee to open the door, and he's kind of just crawling over, sits there in the corner, and then all of a sudden you see two arms pull Seth Rollins out of the steel cage, and it happens to be the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns who makes his comeback and beats the shit out of Seth. Seth obviously wins because of the cage match. By the way, this cage match beat the shit out of what AEW did in their cage match in their pay-per-view by far. That's the blueprint of how you do a cage match. You got two dudes, don't matter their size or their gender for that matter. You got two people, and they're going to war inside this cage, and that's what happened. Seth Rollins brought the best out of CM Punk. CM Punk brought the best out of Seth Rollins. I love this feud, dude. I love this feud so much. Seth Rollins and CM Punk are two of my favorite superstars. I love them. I think CM Punk really is the truth when he says that he does pull the best out of his opponents. We've seen it time and time again since he's arrived back in WWE. The stuff with Drew McIntyre. I was there in Cleveland when he had that match with CM Punk had that match with Drew McIntyre. That was another banger. But this match was absolutely just that, dude. It's looking like it's gonna be a triple threat at WrestleMania for Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth freaking Rollins. The question is, man, what does that favor that Paul Heyman has CM Punk has for Paul Heyman? Because at the end of that show, Roman Reigns looked very displeased, and we got a shot of Paul Heyman, in the ring with CM Punk, just Heyman and Punk in the middle of the ring, Heyman was consulting Punk and letting him know everything's all right. And we got a dirty look from the Tribal Chief, man.
I said this a couple weeks ago. Paul Heyman screws Roman in some way or another. I was wrong on how, because I thought it was going to be a title match or something like that, but he's going to screw Roman, and it's going to be the end of the wise man. And I think we see the bloodline kind of fall apart after that.
Yeah, dude, because
that's another faction that's getting stale.
It is. We got two fucking bloodlines now. One of them only consists of Roman Reigns. The other one only consists of Solo Sikoa and possibly Tama Tonga. Jacob Fatu and Solo aren't seeing eye to eye on SmackDown, so I don't know what the hell is going on. I agree with you that it is getting stale, and I am a huge Roman Reigns fan. I have all of his, pretty much all of his figures over here to my left. I think that Roman should continue being the Tribal Chief, but only, on his little island of relevancy thing on his own, like he actually, was saying before he started all this bloodline. He is the needle mover. He's the main eventer. I think he should just go with that solo role.
And that's another thing. The whole Roman Reigns thing, I think, is stale as well. I mean, we had him as champion for 3 years. Like, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Roman Reigns, especially because he had that big run, and it was just, I don't know. I got stale with the story relatively early after like the year and a half or 2 years of seeing Roman in the bloodline and Roman going up against like all these people, for the title, and him almost losing. Oh no, here comes the bloodline. Oh, the ref is distracted. Let's, I didn't like it. I didn't care for it.
I get that.
And I'm kind of glad that Roman's not getting a push right now. I'm betting he's going to. It depends on how much of a workload he wants to take on, because I know he took a break there for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the workload, it was getting too much for him. So it depends on if he's going to come back to full time or not. I don't want it to be like a Brock Lesnar thing either, where he wins the title and he only shows up, at pay-per-views, which towards the end of his title run, you didn't barely see him. No. He wasn't on TV. He wasn't at every SmackDown. He wasn't at every Raw. He was the double champion. He had both titles. He should have been on every show. And I get it. It's probably a lot. And I have no clue how that is, how that kind of workload is. But at least show up. I don't know. That was just my take on it.
Yeah,
And
no.
that's why I'm so stale on Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
Uh,
I get that. On the other hand, I feel the complete opposite. Like I said, I understand why you feel that way. I don't, for these reasons. Um, Roman Reigns, we needed that heel turn from him. We expected that heel turn from him, and we needed something like that in the beginning because at that moment of time, like you said, that well, we're both fans of Triple H. That was a moment where Vince was still, you know, he was on his way out, and we needed that big change. For some reason, Vince is so fucking high on two guys, Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg, and it was over and over and over again, these two.
Yep.
And we needed that Roman Reigns heel turn, and we got it. Did we ever? I really liked the title run that he had. I really liked that the work that he did. Not just him, but Heyman had a lot to do with it. Triple H had a lot to do with it. The schedule of it is overbearing. You traveling across the world, but more importantly, a lot of these guys fell into the trap of him not being there because the workload was too heavy when it was actually part of the show itself. He's playing the heel, and we're gonna get into the whole Cena thing in a little bit because to end Raw, I have one last request of Mr. Cena, but so the heel work that Roman Reigns is playing is I'm too good to be here. I don't need to be here. I'm this star. I was in a movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I was doing all this extra stardom stuff. A lot of these guys are fucking marks, and they fell for it. They fell for it for that whole thing when it was just, well, for one, yeah, the schedule is a lot. He has to be in Europe, and the next day he has to be at this place, and then ESPN and all. Yeah, but the rest of it was all storyline. And we're like I said, we're gonna see that from Cena as well. Speaking of the main eventers, though, John Cena, I would like for him to switch it up as far as attire and theme music. And once the theme music for me is a big thing. I would like him to stick with the original album, but I want him to come out to Bad Bad Man. He actually, that was on his album, so it's still his song. It's him singing it. Have you heard that song before?
I never listened to his album. The only ones I know of his are the Dr. Thugonomics and You Can't See Me or whatever that is. My Time Is Now or whatever the fuck that song is.
Oh yeah. So it's on the same album as My Time Is Now. I believe that's the name of the album. Don't quote me on that, but it's John Cena featuring Bumpy Knuckles, Bad Bad Man, and I really think that he actually performed that song on an episode of Raw before, and it was actually really good. The song itself is really good, and it fits this heel turn. I don't want to see him in the jean shorts and fucking baseball cap and baseball, or I mean, in these athletic jerseys like he was.
Fruity Pebbles.
I don't want to see him in that either. I'd rather maybe come out in something different. For starters, like promos. You're a heel now. Come out in these tailored suits, these fancy tailored suits. Start dressing like a heel. Everything has to fit this. And I know Cena will do it because there's a clip that's floating around the internet of the time that he was actually going to turn heel before this one, and he had said that he was going in to wrestle in tights again and swap his music. He didn't say which music it was going to be, but he did say that he was going to change up everything. I'm wondering if he's still going to stick to that same thing, and if not, what is in store for us. I'm really excited for this. I know we're expected to see him. I think it's on Raw or next SmackDown. It is going to be on Raw, over in Belgium, I believe. That John Cena will be there. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, dude, I really want him to play more into this heel. I know he is online. I've been following his tweets and his IG posts and stuff like that, and that just that gets me more excited for what's to come. A lot of me says that Cody Rhodes might win this match though at WrestleMania. I think that they might pull off a big swerve and really piss people off like they did at WrestleMania 39 when everybody thought that Cody Rhodes was going to quote unquote finish the story then, but Roman Reigns had won and they carried on the story into WrestleMania 40.
Right. I I understand. Yeah, I get that. It makes complete sense, and uh, I think Cena will. He'll go into this like a professional. He'll go into it like he should, and I mean it's been a long time since he played a heel. I mean, what he was a heel when he was the Doctor of Thugonomics.
Yeah, that was 2002 to
Yeah, so
2006.
I mean, it's been a long time since he's played a heel, but I think he'll do good. And honestly, to end this, to come towards the end of this, excuse me, I kind of wanted them to bring back the Doctor of Thugonomics thing because it just would have put tied a nice ribbon onto it. Go back to where you started and end your career that way. I don't know. I would have been all nostalgic for it. I would have been giddy like a schoolgirl, I tell you.
Oh yeah,
And,
hey, you would have been the one starting busso loads now.
I don't have any John Cena Doctor of Thugonomic action figures though. I'd have to buy one.
Dude, hey, let him know. Let him know where to get a PO box. Send it to Zack right now. Get the
Yeah.
John Cena Thugonomics character and send it to Zack's PO box. But yeah, so I'm really excited, and I'm glad that you're excited about this too. And yeah, I definitely pop for that version of Cena to come out. We got a glimpse of that when he was feuding with Bray Wyatt, right?
Yeah, a little bit when they did like what was that, the Fiend, the Funhouse thing where he went back in time and there was the different John Cenas and all that other stuff. But I don't know if they could tie the Doctor into this storyline because, like you said, they're kind of doing the Roman Reigns storyline with him. On I'm too good to be here. I don't need to be here. So I think they'll have a hard time. But I'm excited. I'm ready to see John Cena as a heel full fledged, and we'll have to see where this goes. But
absolutely. So
we
SmackDown though.
we spend a lot of time on Raw.
I know. We'll just you want to
just go into
brush over
SmackDown real quick because we'll just brush into SmackDown real quick because again these are spoilers. So this happened at what, 3:00 this afternoon? You said.
Yeah, and it caught me off guard. I didn't find out until this
I had no clue it was
earlier
happening
this morning. So the Street Profits are your new WWE Tag Team Champions as they beat DIY, man. I don't know.
I kind of like it. I like DIY, but I do like the Street Profits, and they did good as a tag team champions.
Yeah, they did.
So I think they're gonna carry it well, and I like their heel turn that they're on too.
So do you think DIY is set for a split?
No, not yet. Not yet, unless
because that's what they're teasing right now on almost every episode of Raw. SmackDown. It's Johnny Gargano tempting, picking on Tommaso, and Tommaso picking on Johnny. I don't see it coming soon, but I would like it actually because the black and gold Tommaso Ciampa, Tommaso Ciampa was gold. I love that, the whole Goldie thing, the leather jackets, the theme song is a banger. I really like that for Tommaso and even Johnny Gargano too. Johnny Gargano is a phenomenal performer. I love their heel work as a tag team right now. Just like I agree with you with the Street Profits. The Street Profits as a heel tag team, that fit I think a lot more than it did the face tag team, especially with their personas. Ray Phoenix, like I said, was teased on a video package. You've seen Luchador, that had the same gear as Ray Phoenix. We already went into that. Jimmy Uso comes out and challenges L.A. Knight for the United States Championship at WrestleMania 41. What are your thoughts?
I think it'd be okay. Big Jim getting a title opportunity. I don't think that they let LA drop it to him, though. I don't think Big Jim's put in enough singles work to
No.
win the title. I think it'd be a good match as long as, Solo and Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga don't get involved,
Well,
which I'm assuming they will.
oh yeah, it's funny you bring that up, brother, because next it was Braun Strowman, LA Knight, and Big Jim versus the Bloodline 2.0 of Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga, which Braun Strowman, LA Knight, and Jimmy Uso were victorious. So it looks like that might be the story, and we could be getting a screw job of Jimmy Uso, which I'm all right with. I agree. LA Knight shouldn't drop the title. He just got it back, so it'd be stupid and silly to have him drop the title to Jimmy Uso, who is, you are correct about, he hasn't put in enough time on the single scene to be worthy of any title, any mid card or main event
No,
title.
and even Jay, when he won the Intercontinental title, I don't think he put in enough work.
No, I
And
don't think so either.
I think that was dumb the way they did it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about that, and I don't think that they shouldn't do it this way with Jimmy Uso either. And if they do, then Triple H, I don't know what the fuck you're smoking. But give LA Knight a meaningful run. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't know how much bigger LA Knight has to be.
And not to mention his age, he's in his 40s. So how
Right,
much time do we
right.
have left with him? I don't know. So we got to get the ball rolling now.
And you say push new guys. LA Knight's been around for a little bit, and obviously he's older, but he's newer. He's a newer guy. Give him the push that he deserves. I mean, yeah, people say that he's knocking off Steve Austin and all this other stuff, but man, that line works. It worked back in the Attitude Era, and it's working now.
Absolutely.
So,
Dude, these and the thing that bothers me the most with these LA Knight haters is the fact that even in TNA, it was Eli Drake. Yeah, he was still using the same fucking lines over there. This is just new to these WWE casuals, and they see that, and they see his body language, the vest, and they automatically point to Steve Austin and say, "Oh no, you're gimmick infringing on him." Which I could see the similarities, but I've just said this before. LA Knight is making that persona, that character, his own. So I disagree with all of those haters, and that's exactly what they are.
No, they definitely are, and I don't know how you could hate LA Knight. To be honest, and like you said, he's up there. He's in his 40s, and he still puts in good work.
Yeah, I mean, do these guys want him to be that the Maxine Dupree again? with
what was that? Was that the Beautiful People or something like that, or whatever that was?
Maxium or
Max? It was the Maxim Models.
Yeah. With
that's what it was.
The girl that's in Alpha Academy, Maxine.
Yeah, with Maxine and the other blonde dude. I can't remember his name.
Oh, I think he's in a thing with he's one of those Yes Boys, right?
Yeah,
or is that the wrong
I believe
one?
so. Yeah, he's down in NXT, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, unless he got cut, I don't know. He's too irrelevant to pay attention to.
I think they're over in AEW now. I think both of them are over in AEW right now.
Well, then they can be there.
Yeah, stay there. Charlotte Flair wins her match. I don't know who that. I didn't write down who she beat.
She beat B-Fab.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah, she beat B-Fab with the figure 8.
Yeah, a tune-up match for Charlotte. Damian Priest. Damian Priest is in, the works for WrestleMania. It looks like, because Drew McIntyre came out, and I know you and I had talked about this before the show. Drew McIntyre came out and blamed Damian Priest for his failings at the Elimination Chamber and heading into WrestleMania. Again with this Drew McIntyre mad scientist or whatever you want to call it thing. This guy is a stud of a superstar. I don't like this for him. I made it clear that I don't like this for him. I want I get it. The moniker, the Scottish sociopath or the psychopath. I like that for him, but I just don't like all this other stuff for him because it seems like it's going nowhere. We're going in a full circle, a whole year of the same thing for Drew McIntyre again. As if
Yep.
it doesn't end at WrestleMania, what's the point of doing this?
Who knows? I mean, I don't know. We can give Triple H all the praise in the world, but I still don't understand what he's doing with Drew McIntyre or where this is all gonna, you know, come about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like to know what he's thinking.
Me too.
Basically.
So Drew after that, Damian Priest, comes out, and obviously they have their back and forth. Followed by that, Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Damian Priest beat Shinsuke, but it's via DQ.
Yep.
Orton beats Carmelo. Gunther having another, I don't know if you want to call this a tune-up match, but he beats Axiom from that.
I
tag
heard
team
that
with
was
NXT.
I heard that was an actually pretty good match, and especially showcasing Axiom.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Axiom and his partner, I forget his name, but they are NXT Tag Team Champions. They're being shown a lot on across the board. NXT, now on SmackDown. Before that, they were on TNA defending the belts. I like this.
His tag team partner's Nathan Frazier.
Okay, yeah. I really like this. Going back to the debate before, bringing in new talent and pushing new talent. I really like this. It gets these guys out there, their names out there, and their gimmicks out there, and all that kind of stuff. So Triple H has his good sides. Obviously, some of these producers that he's hiring on these shows don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. But that's okay, I guess. Randy Orton, like I said, Randy Orton beating Carmelo. I like that. It gives Orton a tune-up, and it also gives Melo some screen time and some ring time. I'm a fan of Carmelo Hayes. I really like his work down at NXT, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. But that's it for SmackDown that I got.
Basically. And just to bring up the Randy Orton Carmelo Hayes match, just for 2 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading a thing here for the spoilers of the show, and this comes from the takedown on Sports Illustrated, so I can, mention them.
Right.
They have it here that Randy dropped him with an RKO and was about to punt him, and then Kevin Owens saves him. And it just solidifies more of the psycho persona coming back for Randy Orton. And I hope that happens. I hope he comes into WrestleMania and shaves his head. And he has his head completely bald like the psycho he was. And we see that against Kevin Owens, because that would be great.
Yeah, I believe we touched on that in episode 3
We
as
did.
well. I'm glad that this is coming out for Randy Orton to be able to do this kind of stuff again, and let these newer fans know who he is, who his gimmick
Right.
is. Because commentary can only do so much. Selling, these backstage segments can only do so much. Randy Orton getting out there and showing his roots. With being a third-generation superstar and all, and really letting his talent and his gimmick show, past and present. I really like this, and the same goes for Kevin Owens. I've said it before. Kevin Steen from the Indies. I can't stress that enough. The guy is a phenomenal talent down there in the Indies, and now we're getting to see that a lot more on the big screen, and I'm really happy for Kevin Owens. He deserves it, and so does Randy Orton.
Oh, yeah, they both do. No doubt. So we're going to end the WWE segment. It went a little longer than we wanted, but so we'll get into the NFL. There's a lot of free agency news going on. Let's start, I think, with the most disappointing thing in probably mine and your eyes, the team that had the most cap space. And that would be the Patriots.
Yes.
And they haven't really done much with all that money. I don't know if they're hoping to draft a lot of players, or if they're going to wait and see, do some trading. I don't know, but tell us about the New England Patriots and what you think's going on in that front office.
I think what I really think is going to happen is just like I mentioned on episode 4 and 3, is that Mike Vrabel is comfortable now here in Foxborough, and he is ready with his team, and he's going to collect the rest of the pieces. He's going to collect the rest of the pieces during the draft. I'm happy with the interior defensive line. Landry on the outside as a rush, and in the middle linebacker the linebacker itself that we picked up. The right tackle from the Jets, and the corner from the Lions. I know I'm not saying names. I'm drawing blanks, but
The corner's Carlton Davis.
right. Oh yeah. Carlton Davis the third.
The linebacker is Robert Spillane.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
And then who else was the other one? Was it the interior offense?
Oh, the offense, the right tackle.
That would be Morgan Moses.
Okay. I really do think.
Why? I want to ask you a question real quick. Why? Because they need help on offense. They definitely need help on offense. Why are they spending decent money on defensive players when they didn't have that bad of a defense?
It's the pass. It's the passing game. This is a top 5. A top 10 rushing defense team, and we need to get to the quarterback. We need to we need to stop the downfield gains of the passing attacks. New England's in a division with the Buffalo Bills, and that's very dangerous. Fuck the Chiefs. They have to beat the Bills first.
Yep.
And they have to play them twice a year. So I'm all for this defensive build. They got a bunch of they got who they got? They got Jawan Bentley, middle linebacker, who's a stud. They got Kyle Duggar at safety, who's a stud. They got Christian Gonzalez, and those are just to name the 3. The edge rushing, I kind of figured that they would attack that. I didn't think it was going to be Harold Landry, though. I thought it was going to be maybe Josh Sweat or somebody like that, only because of the Matthew Judon thing. Sending Matthew Judon to Atlanta, that was a really good decision because he didn't really do much in Atlanta. So I'm all for that. But I'm really happy with this defensive adjustment for Mike Vrabel. I really think that Mike Vrabel is just comfortable with his choices and with a little money left over. Because he's not making any moves in free agency doesn't mean that we can't go and make some adjustments during the season or preseason.
Right. I mean, I think most people expect that, but
yeah.
I think we discussed this. I don't know, maybe episode 1 or 2. This is definitely a rebuilding year for New England. I mean, I can't imagine that you're expecting a lot.
No, and I've said that in all of these episodes is. And matter of fact, in episode 4, I mentioned that the talk of the town in Foxborough was that Mike Vrabel is trying to make a run at the playoffs, and I had laughed at that because
playoffs.
That's
playoffs.
You're really repeating yourself because you said that on episode 4 too.
I know.
That's just laughable. It's laughable. How can you expect? I mean, the Washington Commanders are one thing, but the New England Patriots, if you look at the numbers on offense, they were in the bottom 5 of offense, whether it be passing and rushing. They have holes everywhere on the offense except for at quarterback at this point. Ramondre Stevenson is garbage. For some reason, Gerard Mayo had believed in him so much and then turned around and put Antonio Gibson in the last minute of the season. And I believe that Ramondre is gone too. I'm not quite sure. I think he is. And, the whole offensive line situation is publicly known, and that's what people are expecting from New England is to rebuild that now with, Moses from the Jets coming in. Another big one is David Andrews retired. Well, he didn't retire. I believe he is going to retire. The Pats released him. And that's just an age thing. It was nothing else but that. It was expected. So we have that now too. David Andrews coming off of an injury. I believe we have his little brother Jake as a backup as well. But with this offensive line depth in this draft, I don't see a problem with New England filling all those holes in the draft and saving some money. I honestly like that for them. At first, it threw me off because these guys weren't making any moves in the beginning when free agency opened, and it kind of was scary because of how bad that offense really is and the need and the urgency to protect and to give Drake May these weapons.
No, I I completely agree. I mean, it's definitely a rebuilding season. I don't see them, even if they, so they're going to draft, obviously they're going to draft some linemen because, like you said, they have holes to fill. Um, next year, depending on what they do in free agency, and maybe that's what they're banking on. Maybe that's why they didn't make any like big purchases this off season, because they know it's rebuilding year. Even though Mike Vrabel said he is,
and I think that just is a competitor in him.
And it probably is. I mean, I would assume most coaches are going to be like, that's the goal. You want to get to the playoffs. You want to make it to February. And I wonder if maybe he's kind of changed his tone a little bit. Maybe they're going to save some money for next offseason, because then they'll have the pieces that they already signed this year, right?
Yeah.
You'll have the pieces from the draft, and then you'll have next free agency. So maybe they pick up the last pieces that they need next year, and then they make a more lucrative push for the playoffs. Does it make sense?
It's very possible. Yeah, no, it's very possible that that's the case. I think a lot of these people are looking at the now instead of the future. Like we said, this is a team that's rebuilding, and we won't stay much more time on this, but I really hope the best for Mike Vrabel. He did really good work in Tennessee. Obviously, I'm not talking about Super Bowls or anything else like that. This is a guy who comes from New England. He played with New England. I believe he won one Super Bowl with them, and he's a hell of a coach. I'll give him that. And like I said, I think it's just the competitor in him that made him say that this team could be ready for playoffs. But moving on, though, when should we actually take the Chicago Bears seriously? Because all of these offensive line pickups, Joe Thuney, and who was the latest that they picked up? Do you have that?
Jonah Jackson.
Drew Dolman. Drew Dolman from the Falcons.
Oh yeah, Drew Dolman. Yeah, the center.
He signed with the Chicago Bears. So Zach, when should we start taking the Bears seriously? And are they a threat in the the NFC North at all?
It depends. Do they trust their quarterback this year?
I don't know. Do you trust Caleb Williams? Because I don't.
I don't, because they didn't give us enough to see. He didn't have very many yards. They didn't let him throw it.
No, they didn't at all.
So I think it all stems on him and the coaching staff and the front office. Give your quarterback the chance to play. You can't just, nickel and dime and hope you're going to win. That's the thing. Get trust in your quarterback, and then we'll see. And I think if they don't give him a chance, and the Chicago Bears have last place locked up.
Yeah.
Just it. And especially when you have the Lions and the Packers and the Vikings in your division. I mean, the Lions are a force to be reckoned with. They're going to be in the playoffs again this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I see that happening for sure. That's happening. The Packers, they're no slouch either. I mean, they're playing good ball. They were in the playoffs, I believe, right? This past year?
Yeah, I think
they were in the first round. Yeah, they still made it.
Yeah.
And then you got the Vikings, who went.
They'll
went
be
to
back.
what?
They got
Divisional?
JJ McCarthy. I had the Vikings going I don't know if it's gonna be 14-3, but they got great talent there still. The Vikings, I think the Vikings will be back. That North is loaded, and you are right. The Bears probably will remain last if they don't shape
Yeah,
up with
I
Ben
see them
Johnson.
remaining last. My order there is Detroit, Minnesota, Green Bay, Bears.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Um, Ben Johnson is really good. I don't know if he'd be able to make that big change already. It's one of those teams just like Detroit, where Detroit is loaded. Um, but the main difference is Detroit is earned it, I would say,
Yeah, they definitely
because
did. I mean, they went a long time without winning.
yeah,
And they finally got a coach that's competent. They finally have a QB in Jared Goff. I mean, and then you got that stud of a wide receiver, uh,
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, he is the second coming of Megatron. I mean, he is amazing. So they're going to be a good team for a long time. I think as long as they can pay their players and keep the pieces that they need, uh, they'll be in the Super Bowl talk for a long time. I think.
Oh yeah. They just got to. I put the Lions in the same category as I do with the Bills. They just got to get over that hump of the division. The conference championship,
Yep.
and once they get past that, it's all downhill from there. Micah Parsons, dude, we have to talk about it.
Oh, I figured we were going to.
Him
So
and
it's just
him and D-Law are going nuts. Demarcus Lawrence, for some reason, is thinking that he's going to win a Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, and I just don't think that's possible.
no,
Not at all.
and it's kind of shitty on D. Law. I mean, he was with the Cowboys for 11 years, his whole career, right? And he's kind of went downhill the last 2 years. He had, I think, 3 sacks this past season. Like he's not the same tank that he used to be. He doesn't live up to that nickname anymore.
No.
So, but Micah needs to cool it. I mean, he has no room to talk either. Yes, he's had the sacks, he's had the numbers to back up that talk, but the Cowboys as an organization have not had the numbers and have not had the wins to back that up. And we talked about the Patriots. Let's talk about my Cowboys because they didn't really make any big moves in free agency. We kind of figured they weren't going to because Jerry, again, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. He's all in, and I don't think Jerry's ever going to live that fucking down because I'm going to say they're all in all the time until Jerry's gone.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do like some of the pickups they made because we did need a wide receiver. We lost Rico Dowell. He went to Carolina. I do like the pickup of Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams. I think that's going to be a good 1-2 combo at running back. Javonte Williams didn't really have a chance to shine with the Broncos. I think he got hurt. Injuries kind of suppressed him a little bit. And then Miles Sanders, he's a proven quick running back. Yeah, I mean, he played
for sure.
he played for the Eagles for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And some of their other pickups, I mean, I'm not too really excited about them. They're trying to replace Zack Martin, which they should. They picked up Robert Jones, who was a guard from Miami. His numbers are okay. They're not that great. They brought back Dante Fowler Jr., which under the defensive coordinator at that time, under Quinn, he was really good. He had the QB pressures, he had the sacks, but what's he going to do under this coaching regime? Nobody knows. They picked up another edge rusher in Peyton Turner, whoever the hell that is. They got a defensive lineman, Solomon Thomas. I know the name, which is okay. And I talked about them re-signing the big re-signing, one of the big re-signings of the season, Oso Odigizua, who is a monster at defensive tackle. And then the other one that I kind of like is Kenneth Murray Jr. They got him from the Titans for late round draft pick switches. And then they kept Kevontae Turpin, which I was hoping they would because he might not see a lot of wide receiver play, but he's one of the best punt returners in the league.
Right, for sure.
Punt and kick returners. So that's a big keep. But I don't see Dallas doing anything this year. I mean, and they waited too long to sign Micah. You saw the Myles Garrett thing. He's making $40 million, so that just brought Micah's number back up.
Right. And
Micah said that he would take a pay cut if he got to play with Myles Garrett. Well, that didn't happen. So Micah's not going to take a pay cut. Micah's going to want 45 or 50 million a year. And rightfully so. He deserves the money. He's put in the work. He's put in the numbers. He's had the sacks. He's been top 3 every year since he's been in. So you got to pay him, and he waited too long, Jerry. Way too long. And you're worried about cap space. Well, now you really got to worry about it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, and then you got other guys that are going to need paid too. You got Diggs, you got Bland, you got all these other guys that are going to need paid next year, and you're going to have to pay it. You're going to have to spend your whole cap space, or at least a chunk of it, on Micah Parsons.
Oh yeah. So what Jerry? Honestly, Jerry needs to. I know we said this before, and it sounds like we sound like a broken record. Jerry needs to step down if he wants to. If he truly believes in the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones needs to step down. I mean,
he won't. He'll die behind that fucking desk.
He will.
He'll die on that hill too, because he's come out and said that he didn't buy the Dallas Cowboys to sit back and just collect a paycheck. He bought it as a job.
Right.
He bought it as an investment. And the only time that job and investment paid off is in the 90s.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, when they had their dynasty.
Yeah.
You know, the big 3.
Right.
But you're never going to see that again.
You know, the pattern is Dan Quinn. You said it. Dan Quinn, hell of a coordinator. Goes to Washington. What happens? They make the playoffs, the NFC Championship.
Yep.
And the list goes. Kellen Moore goes on, and now he's a Super Bowl champion with the Eagles in the division. But these guys couldn't do anything in Dallas supposedly, and they're the problem. When they're in Dallas, they're the problem.
Yeah, no, it's never Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is never going to take that fucking responsibility. It's always the coaches.
Right, and to that point that you made, if I was an employer of Jerry Jones, I would have fired his ass a long time ago. You're out the door, Jerry. Sorry.
He's not a good GM. He's not.
No, he's not.
He hasn't been.
No.
He hasn't been since the 90s. Let's just say that.
Right.
And we'll say that, yeah, they made some good draft picks in the early 2010s. That's when they had a young Zack Martin. That's when they had a young Travis Fredericks, and he was young when he retired. You know, and that they had a young Tyron Smith. They had the best line in the league. And I'm not taking that away from Jerry. I'm not taking some of his draft picks away from him, because he's done really well on that aspect. But you're not managing this team like you should. You're making the fan base not watch, because I could tell you on maybe one hand on how many games I watched this season, because I didn't care, because I'm sick of how the Cowboys are being ran. The only game I actually stayed up for was the Pittsburgh game, because that's a big rivalry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to see the Cowboys win, and they did. But that's the only meaningful game that I actually watched this year. And it's hard for me to be a Dallas fan. I'm never going to stop being a Dallas fan, but it's hard right now, and I understand some of these fan bases.
Yeah, of course.
I understand, like, the Cleveland Browns. I understand the Lions fan bases there for a long time. I understand, the Carolina Panthers fan base and the Jacksonville Jaguars fan base.
Right.
I get it. They've been slumps for a long time, and it's hard to be a fan when your team has the ability to win, but it's the front office or it's the GM. And that's the issue. He's the owner, and I don't know. I don't even know if he steps down and his son takes over if it be any better. I don't know what his mindset is. I don't know if he's going to be wanting to be the GM or anything, but I think you need to get somebody in there that knows football. Not saying that Jerry Jones doesn't know football, but he doesn't know football now. He's not with the times. He thinks that, you just
Joe
keep.
Biden.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But less incoherent. I'll give
Yeah.
Jerry that. He's still got his
Yeah,
mind.
he can walk. He can climb stairs.
Yeah, he can climb stairs.
Right, for
That's
sure.
about
But
it.
going back to the Seahawks, though, Cooper Cup, man.
Well, I got on a tangent there, and it kind of got me a little heated. But yeah, let's talk about the Seahawks.
Yeah. So Cooper
Um,
Cup goes and he signs, what was it, a $30 million deal? Or 40?
oh, I got the numbers right here. Cooper Cup, 3-year, $45 million.
Yeah,
I think that's a little much for Cooper Cup.
I do too.
To be honest, I mean 3 years is fine, but I think 45 million. I think they spent a little too much, and they even spent too much on DeMarcus Lawrence. And DeMarcus Lawrence, he's what 30? I can
Who's
get the
older,
number
though?
now.
When you looked it up, can you tell me?
DeMarcus Lawrence has 11 years of experience. He's 32 years. And Cooper Cup has 8 years of experience, and he's 31. So you spent, let's see, 80, 87 million basically on a 31-year-old wide receiver, which we know once wide receivers, it's unfortunate once they hit their 30s, it's kind of downhill. They're not as fast. They can't cut as good as they used to. They're not that great at running routes. So I have to see. But Cooper Cup, he's a good wide receiver. So we'll have to see how this year ends up. And then DeMarcus Lawrence, again, I talked about this. He doesn't have the numbers. He hasn't had the numbers in the last couple of years. He's not the tank that he used to be. So how do you justify spending $42 million on an edge rusher like that, or even 45 on a wide receiver? Can you clarify that for me?
You're paying. It's the same situation, dude. That happened to the Buffalo Bills with Von Miller. You're paying for a shell of what once was DeMarcus Lawrence. And before the show, I said the same thing about Cooper Cup. I was kind of concerned and confused on why the Patriots didn't take advantage of it, and now I understand why. And that is because of what I just said. We just went over the age differences, so I know there's a gap there. But why are you going to pay? Why would you want to pay that much money for somebody and risk? And by the way, Seattle don't even have a quarterback.
No. Well, they got Sam Darnold. They signed him to a 3-year deal for $100 and a half million with $55 million guaranteed.
Again, with the overspending, we seen what Sam Darnold. We seen what he could do with really good talent around him. What good talent do they have aside from Cooper Cup in Seattle now?
I mean, they don't have DK. They don't have DK Metcalf anymore. They don't have who is their other wide receiver that was a mainstay in Seattle for how long? They ain't got much going on for them. I don't even know what they have at wide receiver right now.
Nothing now. Both of their number 1 and 2 are gone.
Yeah, so let me look at their roster here real quick. AJ Barner, tight end, he's decent. I mean, I wouldn't say he's the breaking doors down or anything like that. Farrell Brown at tight end, he was okay. What do they got at wide receiver? Jalen Darden, never heard of him. Tyler Lockett, that's who they released.
Yeah, that's who it was. And
they don't have him anymore. They don't have DK. Who else? They got Jackson Smith Njigba, which he's okay. I mean, I think he's a little young yet. I think he was actually a rookie. No, he wasn't. He's got 2 years of experience, but he's 23 years old. I think that's their number one this year. It's going to have to be because they ain't got much else going on for them.
Where do they
Um,
draft at? 18, I think.
they're kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, so they got some time. They got some time, and they got draft capital to use. So, um, I don't think Seattle's going to be where they were last year. I think
No,
that they'll be at the bottom of the NFC West, um, because they do got the 49ers. The weather, no matter their situation, the 49ers are the 49ers. And then you got the situation in LA with LA taking Devontae Adams and remaining with Matthew Stafford. Even though they lose Cooper Cup, I think that the Rams will be okay. The Seattle Seahawks are no more.
no, like you said, and with all that stuff going on with Demarcus Lawrence and uh, Micah Parsons, Demarcus Lawrence saying that the Cowboys ain't going to win a Super Bowl anytime soon. Well, neither are the Seahawks, and I think he's going to learn that, and I think he's going to learn that he made a big mistake. Unless something amazing happens, I don't see anything happening there. And sticking with the NFC West, like you said, the 49ers are the 49ers. We'll have to see because they did lose a lot of pieces on defense, and that's their bread and butter. Besides Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy, I mean they lost Debo Samuels, so they lost their number 2 wide receiver. Or he might have been the number 1. I can't remember, but they lost a lot of pieces. So San Francisco to me is kind of up in the air still. We'll have to see, a couple games into the season. But I think who's going to take this division again is the Rams. The
Oh yeah,
Rams, the Rams haven't really lost anything, and they added, like you said, Devontae Adams. They added Tutu Atwell, who's a solid. Well, he re-signed. He's a solid wide receiver. Um, and they also got, in case Matthew Stafford gets hurt, because that's not an uncommon thing. Matt has had injury issues in the past. They also, re-signed Jimmy Garoppolo on a 1-year deal. So you have a competent second quarterback who can win. He's no slouch at quarterback. So I think the Rams take this division. I don't see the Arizona Cardinals really putting up much of a fight. Maybe depending on how San Francisco runs, maybe Cardinals take number 2 in that division. But the last place spot is most likely Seattle. Like I said, unless something implodes in San Francisco.
right.
I mean, we can touch on some AFC news, but I don't think there was very many.
Just D
Like,
Hop.
yeah,
He
D Hop going to the wide receiver graveyard.
Yeah, the elephant graveyard.
In the Ravens. The Bengals didn't really make any splashes. Cleveland, we talked about Myles Garrett. They traded the Eagles for Kenny Pickett, so we'll have to see how that goes. Steelers made some moves. Everybody knows DK Metcalf. They got Kenneth Gainwell. We don't know what their QB situation is. They signed Mason Rudolph. I know they're in the running for Aaron Rodgers. So who knows how that goes. The Texans made some moves. They traded for Christian Kirk. Speaking of the Texans, I kind of want to wrap this up here soon, but where do you think they go this year? You think they're back to the playoffs?
Honestly, it all depends on Tank Dell. I don't think Stephon Diggs is gonna, unless he re-signed. I don't think he's gonna go back to Houston. If I was Stephon, I wouldn't want to play another down again. I think he should take his money and run. So it really all depends on Tank Dell. Tank Dell is going to be that number 1 guy from here on out. C.J. Stroud is still playing good football.
Yep.
And I think that it all depends on the draft for these guys. They fill the holes that are needed, then they will be in the playoffs again. I mean, they're going to be in the playoffs no matter what, unless somebody beats them out. Because who do they got in the AFC South? They got the Titans.
They got the Titans, the Colts, and the Jags, which
all bums.
Basically, I mean, unless the Colts pull something out of their ass with Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
But I don't even think we talked about this already before the cast. I don't think they bench Anthony.
Yeah, no, I don't see
Danny
that.
Dimes. I don't see that happening, but it's a possibility. So yeah, Texans definitely win the AFC South unless something implodes and something goes wrong. Yeah, I think we've hit all like the big topics in the NFL right now. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I think that pretty much is it. This whole salary cap thing is irritating for the Patriots though, because I really do want them to I really did want them to spend more money. I mean,
I think everybody expected them to.
yeah, but I mean, I understand, and I hope that they do carry over into the next year.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
But yeah,
I'm sure they will.
Lastly, though, Aaron Rodgers, I still am behind him retiring. I want him to retire, and I just, what is he really going to offer in Pittsburgh that he couldn't offer in New York?
I don't have an answer for that. Maybe a better front office, better coach. But we know Aaron Rodgers doesn't play nice with coaches.
Exactly.
So, him and Mike Tomlin's got a hot head.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big personality, and I think if you put Aaron Rodgers in there, it's not going to go well.
No, I don't think it is.
But hey, whatever the Steelers want to do is fine by me, because the more they suck, it makes me happy.
Those ticket prices go down and down and down. Yeah, but no, man. That's all I got for today.
Well,
you?
I want to bring up one more thing. Jerry Jones, fuck yourself.
Yeah, fuck you, Jerry.
That's the end of my Cowboys rant.
Put that in a hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag Jerry Jones, fuck yourself.
Oh man.
All right, man. Well, I think that was a good show. You can follow us on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook, and also like and subscribe to the channel. And what's that handle on Twitter again? I know it's a little complicated sometimes. And I know it's on the opening credits.
It is. It is the Benchwarmer, and all the E's in the Benchwarmer are all threes. That's a capital T, a capital B, and a capital W. But all the E's are threes in it. But it's the Benchwarmer. Go give us a follow on Twitter too.
Yeah, it's most definitely, and we try to keep up with all the NFL news and share everything and retweet. So if you ever need to see it, we usually have it posted, or we're resharing, or we're retweeting. So with that, the starters may get the glory, but the Benchwarmers bring the fun. Tune in for another episode of the BenchWarmers Podcast, and thanks for listening.
Peace.